Do you know the story behind your zodiac sign? Today we're going to talk about the origin story of Leo, which begins when Hera decided to be a little bit toxic to her husband Zeus by sending a powerful mystical lion to live in a cave in Nemea, which is where Zeus's shrine was. So anyone who wanted to worship Zeus would have to get through this ferocious lion. After that, Hercules was actually tasked to defeat the lion and take its pelt to King Eurystheus. But of course this was no regular lion, because it was the son of the fire-breathing monster Typhon, and it was more than twice the size of a normal lion, and most importantly, its skin was indestructible. So Hercules goes into the cave and blocks off an entrance, but he soon realized something was wrong. He couldn't actually take the pelt off because the lion's skin was indestructible, so any tools that he brought was useless. So he had to use the lion's own paw. Eventually he succeeds, brings the pelt back to the king, but then decides it would be better to keep it as his own armor. Afterwards, either Zeus or Hera immortalized the ferocious lion in the sky as the constellation of Leo. But which zodiac sign should I talk about next? Follow to see the rest of the series.
I have a 16-year-old babysitter who watches my 4 and 8-year-old. She watches my kids from 9 to 7 from Monday through Saturday, so I asked if she liked anything stocked up in the pantry or the fridge. She mentioned that she really likes seltzer water, and I bought them for the first month, but honestly, I forgot after a while and never kept any in the fridge. A few days ago, I bought hard seltzers for me and my husband and didn't think anything of it. While I'm at work, she messaged me to say if I can come home early because she's not feeling well. I asked her to try and hold out until the end of the day. Not too long after, she called me crying, saying that something was wrong and she had to go home. She was drunk, clearly. She had drank the hard seltzers that were in the fridge. I told her to leave and she walked home. She called me the next day crying that she didn't know that the hard seltzers had alcohol in them. Both her parents were alcoholics and she was diagnosed with PTSD regarding alcohol. She never planned on drinking in general. I told her not to come back as she put my children in danger. She says she really didn't know and she cares deeply about my children and would never ever drink or put them in danger. She really can't afford to lose this job. I told her to find a real job and that it wasn't my fault she got drunk. My husband says I'm being very rude and that she did try to reach out when she wasn't feeling well. And my kids are upset to see her go.
Has anybody ever been in a toxic relationship and never realized it until after the fact? Because same. Part 2. So I look through his phone and I find that he has a streak with a girl for 3 days. So I investigate, find her Instagram, and I DM her. And my 15-year-old self was like, hey girl, woman to woman, how do you know Eugene? I see that you guys have a streak. I'm his girlfriend. So I just want to know if there's anything going on. And originally she denied it and said that she was talking to his friend. But I kept grilling her. I was like, his friend has a phone, so why are you Snapchatting Eugene? So then finally I asked her if we could FaceTime. She said yes. So we FaceTime and she starts spilling the beans. She said that they've been Snapchatting for 2 months, that she slid up on his friend's story asking who he is and what's his Snap. So we gave it to her. He would slide up on her story with hard eyes and talk about meeting up. And she said that she knew he had a girlfriend, but he said it wasn't that serious and that I was cheating on him, which I wasn't. She said he would block her every single time I would come over. I asked her what high school she went to. She was in 7th grade.
My husband and I have a 3-year-old son together, and there has never been any doubt that my husband is the father. Last week, he came to me and said for the last few months he had been plagued with this anxiety that our son is not his. They don't look identical, but they definitely share similar features, and I see my husband whenever I look at my son. I was obviously blindsided by this and asked him to explain why he thought that he wasn't the father. And he couldn't really provide an answer other than a gut feeling. He asked me for a paternity test, and I said hell no. He said he could just do it without my permission, and I told him if he did that, I would never forgive him. My husband does not have a history of anxiety, but he did lose his job back at the start of the pandemic. I thought he was just stressed out, and I told him if he went to therapy and maybe started taking some anti-anxiety meds, that I would consider getting the paternity test. He got upset and said that once he got the results of the test back, he wouldn't be anxious anymore. He again threatened to just get the test without my permission, and I told him that this would end our relationship. My friends and family are divided over this. Some think I should just take the test, and others are saying he's being insane and that if I cave to this, there's just going to be something else. I think there's something more serious going on here and I need some neutral perspective. So what would you guys do? I've always had a good relationship with my mother-in-law up until I was pregnant. My husband's side of the family hasn't had a girl born in the past 100 years. So when everyone found out I was pregnant with a girl, no one believed me. Everyone was so shocked when it was announced that most of them denied it up until the moment she was born. And that's when the horrible comments started. Whenever my husband wasn't around, my mother-in-law would make snarky comments like, I wonder where she got that nose. It's definitely not my son's. I never told him and let everything slide because she's older and she's my mother-in-law. But when I was pregnant with baby number 2, and yes, it was another girl, I told him to wait as long as possible because I know she wouldn't like the news. When she found out it was a girl, she started sobbing and screaming. She was calling me a whore and demanded that I get out of her house. Those girls are not ours. She's a whore, a slut. My son did not make those girls. She looked at me and said, I let you get away with it the first time. I took you in as family. I allowed my son to believe he fathered that brat, but I will not allow it again. My husband was yelling at his mom, and I got up and took my daughter and I ran to the car sobbing.
into the bathroom and steal her underwear. Then I would put them in Ziploc bags, and this was the best way to conserve any, and then I would mail it off to dudes. Well, within a month, I was making at least $500. But my mom started freaking out because she couldn't figure out where all her underwear went. She asked me about her underwear, but obviously I played it off like I had no idea what she was talking about. After about 3 months, things were going really well. I was selling my mom's underwear sometimes for $100 a pop. And here's a gross detail, but guys wanted my mom's underwear, especially after she exercised. Totally disgusting and weird, I know. Things were going way too good. I was making tons of money, and I was able to buy myself all the things that I wanted. My mom, of course, started noticing all this new stuff that I had in my room. Well, little did I know, but my mom had installed cameras in her bathroom and in the house. So basically, I was being filmed every second of my day. But of course, I had no idea, so I just kept doing what I was doing. I would wait for my mom to shower, then I would steal her underwear and ship it off to these dudes. I was home alone one day, and there's a knock on the door. And when I opened it, it's the police. They had a warrant. Story time about how I almost got arrested for selling my mom's underwear. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. My mom is a total MILF. She used to be in music videos back in the early 2000s. So obviously, I had to find a way to monetize this. When I turned 16, I knew that I wanted to start making my own money. I had heard about people selling pictures of their feet on the internet, so I thought, why don't I try that with my mom? By the way, I am a dude. So I got on Google and started searching how I can sell my mom's pictures, specifically of her feet. So every time my mom would go to get her pedicures done, I would just offer to take pictures of her feet for Instagram. She thought this was really weird, so she would say no. I would try to sneak pictures every now and then, but she would always catch me. So eventually I scrapped that plan and I moved on to her underwear. I found a website that was talking all about how you can sell your own underwear, and obviously since I'm a dude, nobody's gonna want to buy mine. And I know, what I'm about to say is pretty gross, but I started stealing my mom's dirty underwear. So obviously I had to start keeping track of every time my mom showered. I would go into the bathroom and steal her underwear. Then I would put them in.
When my daughter was born, she had dark skin and looked like her parents could be of African descent. My husband was furious and accused me of cheating and left right then and there. He told everyone on both sides of the family what happened and wanted a divorce. Then his friends and families all called me to say how upset they were and called me really nasty names. My mother was by my side the entire time as I kept professing my innocence. He refused to pick me up from the hospital, threw my stuff out on the lawn, and changed the locks. When my sister called to get the baby stuff, he texted her a picture of a bare nursery room and said he got rid of everything. He even destroyed my art studio. Eventually, he agreed to do a paternity test, and he was 100% the father. No one could believe this, so we did it again, and he was the dad. One of his cousins did the ancestry thing and found out there was 30% of African in their family. This made Jim's paternal great-grandmother admit to having an affair around the same time Jim's grandfather was born, and because he could pass as hers, she just assumed her husband was the father. Since then, he's been reaching out and everyone has come to apologize. I told him I needed time, and he asked to see the baby, and I let him, but I'm too afraid to physically hand her to him. I've never cheated and have been 100% innocent all this time. Am I the asshole for not wanting to give him a second chance?
I am the eldest of 3 sisters, 23, 19, and 17. My youngest sister's boyfriend has made these really weird eyes at me before and has said flirty things, which I've always ignored and told her about. She would just go, LOL, that's just how he is. He doesn't mean anything by it. That's trifling as hell because you are my baby sister's boyfriend and it's gross AF for so many other reasons. Last night, my middle sister came to my apartment just to hang out. One minute we were watching Netflix and drinking wine, and the next minute she's breaking down crying, confessing that over her winter break, she slept with our younger sister's boyfriend. I was so shocked, the ability of speech failed me in that moment. I just sat there flabbergasted as she gave me the entire 4-week account of this fling that she had with him. She had just gotten out of a longish-term relationship herself and was heartbroken. According to her, he was around and down for whatever. When she was done, I asked her why she was telling me this, and she said that she hoped I'd be able to tell her what to do. I told her this is going to crush our sister because she has always talked about being the ugly little sister and being stuck in our shadows, which couldn't be farther from the truth. She really placed a lot of her self-worth and value in this relationship and she will be devastated. I think she deserves to know, so I told her
Detail, but guys wanted my mom's underwear, especially after she exercised. Totally disgusting and weird, I know. Things were going way too good. I was making tons of money, and I was able to buy myself all the things that I wanted. My mom, of course, started noticing all this new stuff that I had in my room. Well, little did I know, but my mom had installed cameras in her bathroom and in the house. So basically, I was being filmed every second of my day. But of course, I had no idea, so I just kept doing what I was doing. I would wait for my mom to shower, then I would steal her underwear and ship it off to these dudes. I was home alone one day, and there's a knock on the door. And when I opened it, it's the police. They had a warrant to search my house. Of course, my mom comes home and she explains to me that she installed cameras in her bathroom and that she caught some dude stealing her underwear. I literally couldn't believe they hadn't figured out it was me. So I totally played it off and acted like I was shocked. Then my mom called me into her bedroom and started showing me all the footage. It was totally obvious it was me. Then I got handcuffs put on me. Then my mom busted out laughing. She said that they wouldn't arrest me, but that I needed to learn my lesson. The cops warned me saying that if I ever did.
Has anybody else been in a really toxic relationship and never noticed it until after the fact? Because same. I thought I would give you some examples and see if anybody else could relate. So I was dating this boy. We'll call him Eugene. Eugene ended up going on a cruise with his friends. And at this point in our relationship, I never suspected that he was cheating on me. So this is really where the toxic started. He goes on his cruise, called me every single day, and then I went to his house the day he came back. He was changing his shirt and I noticed that he had a hickey on his neck. I was like, what is that? Because he was gone for over a week. Eugene says to me, yeah, you know, like I was sitting in the jacuzzi and like my boy pointed it out to me. It was like, yo, what is that? And I was like, yo, I don't know. Like, what the heck? Mia's gonna think this is a hickey. And I was like, okay. So we're watching a movie and he falls asleep. So I took that opportunity to look through his phone. And this was the first time that I ever thought to go through his phone. And I see that he has a streak with a girl. So I investigate, find her Instagram, and I DM her and I'm like, hey girl, I'm coming to you as a woman. How do you know Eugene?
I met my husband Dave 5 years ago. We've been married for 3 years with a 2-year-old daughter, and I'm currently 4 months pregnant. I met Dave through one of my coworkers, Mark. I started seeing him frequently at the bar we'd go get drinks at after work. He started chit-chatting with me, and it was obvious he was interested, but I tried to decline his advances as gently as I could. He was persistent, and one night after one too many drinks, I agreed to go on a date with him. I didn't really want to be there and even thought of canceling, but I was having really bad luck dating at that point, so I decided to go. The date started off really slow, but then we realized we had a lot in common. I was still hesitant, but decided to give Dave a chance. And although he definitely liked me a lot more than I liked him in the beginning, our relationship slowly began to grow and I eventually fell in love with him. Except for the rare couples fights, things between my husband and I have generally been really good. We get along well, and up until last night, I would have said my life is ideal. Since the pandemic, my husband has been working from home. It was a little bit of an adjustment, but it hasn't been too bad. The change in environment has been the biggest issue. To stay connected, my husband meets virtually once a week with his friends and his brother to play games. Last night, he had about 2 to 3 beers while playing with his brother Tom. I put my daughter to bed.
If you've ever thought about getting your ears pierced, don't do what she did. This is the urban legend about a girl in Japan who tried to do it, then ended up with horrifying consequences. So this young girl really wanted to get her ears pierced. After some pleading with her parents, they finally agreed and gave her some money to go do it. But instead, the girl kept the money and decided to pierce them herself and let her friend help her. They heated up a large needle and went for it one day. It was painful, but in the end, she was happy she could finally wear earrings. However, this wouldn't last long. One day in school, she felt an intense pain in her left ear. Her earlobe was itchy, and by the end of the day, she had a headache. She went into the bathroom and saw her ear was very inflamed. Then she looked closer and saw a piece of white string sticking out of her new piercing. She picked and pulled at it, which only made the string longer. Now it was hanging out of her earlobe. The string seemed to be endless. The more she pulled, the longer it got. Finally fed up, she took a pair of scissors and cut the string. Suddenly, everything went black. There was a burning pain in her ears and her eyes. She began to scream. In the hospital, it was revealed that it wasn't a piece of string at all. She had pulled out a piece of her optic nerve and cut it. She would be blind for the rest of her life.
I think we killed a girl. Story time. When I was young, me and the neighborhood kids used to love playing Truth or Dare. And there was this one girl who used to play with us, and we're gonna name her Peggy. Now, Peggy was one of those kids who was not afraid to do any dare. One time, somebody dared her to pierce her own ear using a very sharp pencil, and she did it. Like, she took Truth or Dare very seriously. Well, the last time we played Truth or Dare with Peggy, things got pretty wild. Like, someone dared me to crush a worm with my bare feet, and yes, I did it, it was gross. But when it got to Peggy's turn, she was dared to do something deadly. Somebody, not me, but somebody, picked up a piece of glass off the street and dared Peggy to swallow it. And because Peggy took the game way too seriously, she did it. The next thing you know, she started coughing up blood, we all freaked out, she runs home, and we never see her again.
I'm currently 2 months pregnant, but my mother-in-law has clearly stated she is not happy for me and hates that I'm pregnant. She's been coming over a lot to cook for us, but I haven't been eating her food. Not because I don't like it, I'm just in a lot of pain and very nauseous. But she's always complaining about it. I've been taking a lot of vitamins for my pregnancy, and when my mother-in-law asked, I didn't think much of it. This past Sunday, she came into our house and stayed for hours. Everywhere I go, I see her looking for something. I ask what she's looking for, but she doesn't say what, so I walk away and give her privacy. The past few days, I've had really bad abdominal pain, upset stomach, headache, and nausea. So when I called my doctor, she asked if I was taking anything, and I said yes, vitamins. She asked me to bring them in. That's when she told me it wasn't vitamins, it was actually aspirin. I knew right away my mother-in-law was the one who switched them out. I can't believe it. My mother-in-law made me feel so sick, and I almost miscarried if I didn't go see a doctor. I told my husband, and he confronted his mom. She completely denied it and said she would never do anything to harm her unborn grandbaby. It's so clear that she replaced my vitamins and she's lying about it. I'm so upset and I feel like I'm not being safe with her. I have no trust and I want her out of my life. But my husband says we have no proof.
Over the whole meeting trying to talk about her family history, which wasn't even relevant. When it came time for my 20-week level 2 scan, they allowed me one guest and Joe suggested I take him instead of him, which I refused to do. Joe did end up coming and he found out the gender because I wanted to keep it a surprise for me and we could throw a gender reveal party. I put a pregnancy announcement on my social media and Kim did too. She made an announcement stating that they're expecting twins the non-traditional way and how blessed they were. I was irritated, but I kept my mouth shut until she had a gender reveal party, posted it on social media, and didn't even invite me. She also announced that she's having a baby shower. I commented on her post and told her to stop treating me like a surrogate and that the kids aren't hers and Joe doesn't have custody until they are born. I then called Joe and reiterated all of this to him, and I let him know that I'm not going to be seeing either of them until we went to family court and my mother would be my birthing partner. Joe and Kim and some of her family and friends are saying that I'm the asshole, and her mother even called and insisted that I give her one of the babies like this is the Parent Trap. What do I do to get her off my...
Can you solve this mystery? This is the story of 6 friends who went to the beach together, but something strange happened. One of their friends decided to dive into the water, then went missing. But things are not as simple as they seem. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So these 6 friends went to the beach and one of them decided it'd be fun to go cliff diving. Let's call him Tom. Tom dove into the water first while all of his other friends watched. Then about half a minute later, when Tom still hadn't come up, his 5 remaining friends followed. But still, even after everyone else came back up and swam to the shore, Tom was still nowhere to be seen. The 5 remaining friends thought the worst must have happened, so they left and tried to move on with their lives, until the 1-year anniversary of Tom's disappearance. They went back to the same beach to commemorate him. That's when Tom was right there, standing by the water. But something wasn't right. In front of him, right at the edge of the water, were 5 crosses. What really happened here? Can you solve this mystery?
Am I wrong for wanting to have my wedding even though my sister lost her baby? A week before my wedding, my sister found out she miscarried at 5 months. Obviously, I was very upset for her as losing a baby can be very tough, especially because it was her first baby. But I didn't want it to end up being more important than my wedding. 3 days before my wedding, my sister announces at a family gathering that she wants my wedding to be canceled and changed to a funeral for her baby. I was so upset that she would even ask this. I had been waiting months for my wedding and her miscarriage happened so soon. She burst into tears in front of our family, saying I could wait a few months for my wedding, but she couldn't delay her baby's funeral. I got so mad I stormed off. My whole family took her side, telling me to cancel my wedding, even though I had arranged and bought everything. Even my dress and venue was ready, so I couldn't just cancel. I ended up cutting off all of my family, and only a few remained to attend my wedding. My sister hasn't spoken to me in years, and neither has my family. In my opinion, if my sister loses a baby, like a week before my wedding, that's just me.
I found out my husband was sleeping with my sister part 2. I made multiple profiles on all of these dating apps, and these profiles were from women that are very, very close to me, my best friends and my sisters. Because listen, it's always someone close to you. At least that's why I like to think. Setting up all those accounts took too long, but it was definitely worth it. I only found him on one dating app, and that was on Bumble, and he matched with my sister. I decided to start the conversation with, "Hey Ben, that's so awkward, we matched." It took him about 2 days to answer me back because he was off on those 2 days. Apparently he deletes the app on his days off, and then when he gets back to work, he installs them again. His first message to my sister was, "Hey, I miss you so much, I can't believe we stopped talking." I decided to go with it and I said, "Just talking?" He said, "Of course not, you know what I mean, I miss your body, I miss everything about you." Long story short, I waited for him to get home from work, I showed him the messages, I decided to get a divorce, and I also got everything. Do you guys want to know what she did to her sister? Follow me and comment.
Wow, this is easy. I got you. So I had a customer. Notice I said customer, not client, because she can never come to me again after this. But anyways, I had a customer that came to her appointment with her 4-year-old son. My policy's no kids, but he was pretty calm, so I was like, whatever, I'll still do your nails. So while I'm prepping her nails, she's basically being very fidgety. She's looking at her phone like every 2 seconds. And then once I'm done prepping her nails, she stops me and she's like, "Can I go downstairs and get my wallet? I left it in my car and I'd rather get it now than wait till you're done with my nails." I was like, okay, that's fine. So when she goes to her car, she leaves her son with me. So I would say about literally 20, 25 minutes pass. I'm up there with her son and she's still not back. So I go outside. She's gone. I try to call her.